I know I can depend on my barber to give me the perfect haircut every time. I respect his skill and commitment to his job. He's proudly serving Jamaica with his talent. Respect is also due to my bus conductor. He ensures that I am not left behind and I get on board safely. He is serving Jamaica steadfastly and honestly. It's good to see the police protecting and reassuring with courtesy. She is proudly honoring her pledge to work dutifully in the service of her fellow citizens. My journey through life is unfolding every day. I rely on a lot of people to help me to progress along the way. My family, my friends, and my fellow Jamaicans. With their support, I have a future in which great things are possible. I pledge my heart forever to serve Jamaica, our shining homeland, with pride.
Talk Up Yout is powered by National Baking Company in association with CranWata, a Stanley and Empress Production, giving the youth a voice.
And so we come to know these youths and show these youths. Talk up yourself, the youths to know them roots. Nurture them, protect and love and hear these youths. Music make them know I love we show these youths.
Mr. Save the youth, I kill the youth, I talk up youth, I build the youth. I trick and fool and pill the youth, I talk up youth, I build the youth. Empower and then skill the youth, I talk up youth, I build the youth. Talk up youth in Jamaica, we are
kill the youths there.
Talk up youth in Jamaica.
And in the future, how this go again? Growing up, I spent my, hold on, finding, this is it. Alright, I'm starting over, I'm ready now. I was born in the Natal Hospital, and hold on, can I start over? Alright, I have it. Hold on, I still find it. That's my, yeah, hold on. Alright, ready? Already. Hey, I'm Charles, and in the future, I'd like to be a lawyer. In 2 years, I should be a practicing attorney, and within the next 15 years, I'd hope to be a prominent lawyer in the Jamaican society. Now, here's my story. On June 9th, 1996, I was born in the Natal Hospital. And I'd like to say ever since then, I've been living a very interesting life. Now, as a child growing up, one of the things that was very important in my family was obviously child development and wholesome development. So academics was important. It was mandatory that I performed exceptionally or at the highest level academically while growing up. But at the same time, it was very important for me to be active outside of the school. So growing up, I used to do karate, I used to do swimming, and at one point I used to be in a theatrical group called the Cathy Levy Teen Players and Little People Group. And there I used to dance, sing, do a little sign language, and I used to perform, and that was very interesting. One of the things that was also very important was family. So I used to spend my weekends with my dad, and I used to spend the weekdays with my mom, or sometimes vice versa. And on weekends, without fail, we'd go to St. Thomas, because that's where my father is from, and that's where my grandfather currently resides. So we used to go and we used to visit him and see how he's doing, as well as probably other family members, aunts, uncles, and family friends. Sometimes we go to St. Elizabeth, which is where my mom's family is from. We just go for the purposes of visiting family, simply because family was important, just to check in to see how they're doing and obviously share how we're doing as well. Like right after finishing GSAT and before actually starting high school, I passed for Campion. My dad was jogging, he lived in Barbican at the time, and he was jogging on Mannings Hill Road in the morning. And as a matter of mistaken identity, he was violently killed on the road. He didn't make it until the next day. I was supposed to visit him in the hospital on Saturday morning. It happened on a Friday. And unfortunately, he wasn't alive by the time I was supposed to make a visit. At the time, I didn't cry. I don't know, I felt like it was something that I could, despite the fact that I was really young, I felt like it was something that I could deal with and something that I shouldn't cry about because I'm a man. And well, at the time I felt like as a man, and as a man you don't cry. So you just kind of accept the situation as it is and you deal with it and you go forward. So I started high school. It's something I just never really talked about and just kept it to myself. And I continued living life. You know, I tried my best to excel academically. And without doubt, I would say that, you understand, there are times where I felt that absence. But thankfully, I had a very strong support system at home. My mom was very encouraging, and obviously she was all I had, and she tried to make sure that I had everything that I needed for school, and that I was paying attention and I was doing the best that I could. I used to be in student council, which was probably my first experience with student advocacy or leadership, and Jelani Monroe was the former president and now head boy at the time. He had encouraged me to attend a conference because I used to be vocal in student council meetings, and he felt that I would probably make a worthwhile contribution to the conference. So I attended the conference. It was a UN sub-regional conference on violence against children. So I delivered that, and CDA asked me to join the Children's Advisory Panel, which I did join, and which I was nominated as chairman. From there I went on to be the regional rep for the UN Youth Advocacy Group on the Education First Initiative. From there I also went on to become president of the NSSC and came to university studying law. I joined the Guild as deputy hall chair for Leslie Robinson Hall, went on to become hall chair for Leslie Robinson Hall, and now I'm a Jamaica Youth Ambassador. So what started out probably as something that I would try, obviously transformed into something a lot more than that, into a life of advocacy and advocating for child rights. And for the most part, it seemed to fill a gap that I had in my life. And that's one of the reasons why I opted to participate in Up Yout this season. Primarily because what I realized is that they had a very male-centric approach to the cast this year. And in doing the applications, they asked for males that have experienced something that generally affects males. I'd like to share my story and obviously encourage others. I won't pretend as though I've had it extremely rough, in the sense that there was never a point in my life where I had to struggle for food or where I had to study under a street lamp. But at the same time, I'm still a human, and it was still an experience that really affected me and kind of still affects me throughout my life. Because until now, it was never something that I would really openly talk about. Even now, sometimes it feels very uncomfortable talking about it. But I feel like the best way to probably conquer a problem or conquer issues to get in front of it. And so that's my charge to individuals or to males that have a similar experience as myself. Because there are males without a father that, you understand, now don't have any form of economic support. And there are males without a father that have been misguided and have not been on the right path. But at the same time, there are males without a father that have strong role models at home and who have people encouraging them, and or at least still have positive outlets. But you cannot help but deny the fact that there's a large group of males who are without a father and also without a role model. To fathers, if you're watching this, if you have a youth at home or somewhere else, I encourage you to play a more active role in their life. Regardless of whether you have a lot or a little, it still says a lot to be there and to positively contribute to their life and just be the best person that you could possibly be for them.
We have to build the youths there.
Up Yout in Jamaica.
There is no other bun like this one. The flavor is so good. Who say bun can't sweet? Oops, mind you bite your finger.
National spiced buns, baked with national pride.
My wow moment.
My wow moment.
My wow moment.
CranWata with wow.
me get 16 at maths and me never expect so much. That's my wow.
CranWata with wow. When school over, I'ma get food on me yard. That's my wow.
Water with wow.
I'ma get my back food. That's my wow. CranWata with wow.
Water with wow.
We have to build the youths there.
Up Yout in Jamaica.
Alright guys, you ever realize that some males don't have a father figure in their life and excel, but then there are probably a good amount of young males who don't have a father figure in their lives and do excel? Why you feel like that happens?
I guess it's like the motivation that drives a person. So I guess everyone is different. So like my father, he didn't really know his father, and he ensured that when he got his family, he ensured that he took care of me, my brother, my sister, the whole family. My mother doesn't want because of him, you understand? Because he was determined to ensure that what was his reality wasn't my reality.
For some persons, I know people who are from certain communities where they don't even know their fathers, but they do know friends whom they see as fathers. Those persons may be the bad influence, but you also have people where the father figure is not there, but it's there in a way, through a family member, like an uncle, or it may be a brother. Those persons step up to the plate.
Yeah, that's good. Well, Kev, I have a question though. You feel like sometimes us as young male leaders have an opportunity to probably inspire younger males or even males or peers to kind of do as well?
As a Monronian, I can share experiences, whereas you're going to the institution. First year, you have seniors who display a level of maturity and would have naturally have more experience than you. So you realize that they have an influence or an impact on your life, you adopt things from their life, the positives. Sometimes, some people adopt the negative. That's why we have a saying that careful what you do, you know not who you impact. So for me now, being a leader within the university, I have to ensure that I look the part, have an image so that whosoever looking at me can say, all right, cool, I'm taking this from him, and anything they take from my book must be a good page. I mean, we mentioned fathers, yeah, I understand fathers, but some mothers do a pretty good job. I know most of us.
Yeah, that is very true. Because personally for me, for the past 9 or 10 years or so, it's been just my mom. I turn out pretty good. And I go like, I feel like it all comes down to your socialization, how you've been brought up, and probably the outstanding figure you have at home and the people you have around you. Because you seeing one person and realizing that struggle probably will be less inclined to impose that struggle on somebody else. So where you can, as you said, you understand your father didn't really have that in his life, but he made sure that when he was put in the position to provide and to be that person that is depended on, that he makes sure that he steps up to that role and provides for his family.
Wow, how are you? Have not seen you in like what, 10 years?
10 years, probably about 10 years. It's been a long time.
You look great. How have you been doing?
Thank you. I'm all right.
I have your sister in my class and I've been hearing a lot of stuff about you, but seeing that I'm seeing you personal and upfront, share me some of the successes that you have had since you left me here at St.
Richard's. I don't have any successes. I just chill on the corner and relax and things.
No, I don't believe that, Charles. Come on. From you were in my class, you are always a talker. You're always very articulate in presenting yourself, so I'm expecting great things. So I want you to tell me, sitting down on the corner, that doesn't sound like you.
Well, I just recently finished my LLB. So, yeah, at the University of the West Indies. So I'm looking to start normally next week. And obviously, you know, I went to Campion.
Yes, I know you
I spent
went to
some time
Campion.
there, yeah. So in Campion, I'd like to say I was kind of fairly active.
Yes, I heard that. Share with me some of the things that you have been doing at Campion.
Well, at Campion, I was a part of the student council, and I went from a part of the local student council. And from there, I actually went on and I became the president of the national secondary student council.
So you have really launched out since you
since I left.
here. But I remember when you were in my class that you lost your father. You did not really show much of a difference in behavior. But I know that deep down you were hurting. But how have you evolved and how have you dealt with the loss of your father? And if you have met anyone who have lost their dad, and what advice you have given to them?
Oh well, at the time it happened, I was very young.
Yeah.
I don't think at the time I dealt with it properly, or like I fully grasped what was happening. I understood that he was gone and that I was never going to see him again.
Yeah.
But I don't think I fully understood like what that meant going forward. What I would say though is that sometimes I use it as motivation
to go forward,
to just go forward and to just push myself more and to keep active, and not to let it become an excuse for not succeeding or for substandard performance.
Exactly.
And I mean, there have been times where obviously, because if you know him, you know he was big. Both my parents are big on academic excellence.
Absolutely.
It's a very serious thing for both of them, even more so for my father. So sometimes not having him around, obviously, sometimes negatively impacted me, because sometimes, you know, I'd fall back a little. But obviously, in speaking to myself, I just encouraged myself individually, just to kind of
what you have wanted. And your mom being a teacher also help to insert that motivation. Well, to be tell you the truth, Charles, I'm absolutely proud that I have impacted your life, and I hope that for those who are listening will take a page out of your book and don't let their circumstances in life dictate to them that they should get involved in things that are not right. Don't be a part of the statistics, but be a part of being a good model, role model citizen, a solution and not the problem.
No problem.
Thank you.
Sometimes people are born into a situation and there's nothing that you can do about the situation. You don't really choose the situations that you're born into. It's okay to be your own motivation, and it's okay to look at people who are positively contributing to society. People always appreciate when you show initiative, when you make an active attempt to improve yourself. Just strive, be the best at everything you do, whether it's academics, whether it's sports, whether it's whatever it is, and just find your own encouragement and encourage yourself, because that's what I've had to do.
We have to build the youths there.
Up Yout in Jamaica.
Wait. Take a bite of National Giant Hardo. Nothing comes close. How do you hardo? Bread and patty? Bread and butter? National Giant Hardo bread, baked with national pride.
When you're ready. Ready? Oh, wait, my time to fall off.
Ready now?
Come and get new bundles and makeup now. That's my wow. Water with wow.
Just get that song full of yes. That's my wow. Water with wow.
Roach man there, water with
wow. So we are me when we reach a foreign.
And when the plane touchdown in New York, that's my wow. Water with wow.
We have to build the youths there.
Up Yout in Jamaica.
So good afternoon, Charles.
Good afternoon.
Good to meet you.
Same.
Alright, I am Stephen Sykes, and that's Stephen with a V. My good friend Empress asked me to have a chat with you. But before we start, tell me a little about you.
I just completed my LLB, so I'll be heading to Norman Manley in September. somewhere along in high school, I started taking up leadership positions. So I've acquired a variety of national and even some international leadership positions currently. I'm a Jamaica Youth Ambassador with a portfolio of UN General Assembly. When I started high school, I lost my father. It's not something I really like talking about ever. In fact, I very rarely ever talk about it. But I figured maybe that's a very reason why I should talk about it, because it's something that I've kind of underlyingly kind of been struggling with throughout the years. And I figure similarly, there are probably a lot of youths in Jamaica that have been having the same struggle. So I figured maybe this is my opportunity to probably shed some light on my experience. And I mean, some would say that I'm a positive role model. I mean, so I guess which I'm just trying to impart on them and show them similarly I've been affected by this, and I'm here now. So I mean, it's possible for anyone, I guess.
I can't downplay the passing of your father, obviously. But not having a father, let me give you some advice. Obviously, you are a very bright youngster, brighter than most that I've spoken to. And you're also ambitious, which is very, very important. When I was about your age, or a little bit older than you, about 18, 19, I sat on the patio one day with my father, and he asked me what is it that I wanted to do in life, and what was I doing about it. And I really hadn't thought about it, because I said to myself, well, you know, I just finished high school, just getting my first job, I'm getting paid, the money is taking me to all the parties and doing all the things that I want to do. But I hadn't really thought about it further than that. A year or two passed, and we were back on the veranda sitting down having a drink again, and he said to me, remember we were talking about where you wanted to go in life and what you wanted to achieve, and since then I know what have you done to achieve the things that you want to do. And then I suddenly realized that I really wasn't achieving the things that I wanted to do, because I really didn't have a plan. But I learned something from that. And what he said to me at the time is, you know something, youngster, go and sit down and write down what you want to do. I'll give you an example. Suppose in your plan you want to buy a house. Then the first thing you need to find out is what is the process to buy a house. Because to achieve any goal, you need to understand what are the steps to get into the goal. What I'm saying to you is this: look at what you want to do, what you want to achieve in life. Go out and talk to people who know more than you about that subject. Find out what are the steps that they took. Find out what are the steps that you need to take. In other words, what is the process of actually achieving that?
There's definitely, I feel like, there's definitely a lot of application to what you just said, and I feel like it was definitely good advice. And I think one of the things that I take away from it as well is, it's when you said basically you focused on planning and doing research and knowing exactly where you are now and how you can get to where you want. And that's something that I've realized in doing kind of project planning. Within the past 2 years, I've had to start a few projects, and that's more or less what I had to do. You know, you have to start from scratch. This is where you want the project to end up, or this is the reach. So now you have to think of those little goals or those little targets to get to that ultimate goal. But you took it a step further and said you don't just apply this to projects, you also apply it to your life. And I feel like that's something that I can honestly take away from what you said today, because that's not something that I really thought about. Because you're saying, oh, you want a house here, but you can't start with that. You have to start with something smaller to get to that ultimate goal. And so, I mean, as simple as it seems, there's actually a lot of value in what you just said.
Losing your father is a challenge, and you'll always miss him. But that is not all of it. My father put me on the right track by simply asking me those questions. But it is other people who saw me making an effort to learn and to be interested in doing the work that actually decided to help me. Because what you find is this: when you are interested and you have initiative, people are willing to spend the time to help you.
I'd like to, thank Mr. Sykes for coming in and having a conversation with me. I like your youthfulness. I hope my words of encouragement have obviously positively affected your life, and I hope you take my words of advice and make a positive career out of.
Well, thank you for giving me that message. But yes, no, well, I don't mind making the time to speak to yourself. I'm glad that you could make it. You're quite welcome.
Alright, no problem. Alright, thanks again. It was really good meeting you too. And also one of the things that I feel like I haven't probably discussed as much is obviously the presence of a support at home, and in that being my mom. So like legit, I'm just grateful for all the work and all the effort that you put into kind of making me who I am now and making me make it possible, if that makes any sense. And I mean, if there's one thing that I could say to my dad, is that I made it.
Up Yout is powered by National Baking Company in association with CranWata, a Stanley and Empress Production, giving the youth a voice.